First of all then, Mark, I guess we're focusing on what is going to be quite a tough time for the NHS coming forward. Talk about figures in the tune of around £20 billion. It's a gargantuan task. How well placed do you think the NHS is currently to deal with that?
Well, the good news is that the NHS has got 2 years' notice on what will be its most difficult financial challenge that it's faced in 60 years. Obviously, speaking and working closely with those in the NHS, I know that people are busy now preparing their plans. However, it's fair to say this challenge is unprecedented. We've never been asked to look at 15 to 20% efficiencies ever before, and therefore in one sense the NHS is preparing quite nicely. It's starting to think about where it needs to be in 2011, 2012. But in another sense, of course, the sheer scale of the task means that we have to think in completely different ways. And sometimes that's easier said than done.
Looking as you can do from outside now rather than inside the department and the NHS, do you think we're moving quickly enough? And if we're not, what do you think we need to do right now to make sure that we're not in real pain and discomfort 12 months down the line?
I think in any large organisation which has a fair dollop of politics, it is always difficult to move as quickly as one would like. Having said that, both the Secretary of State for Health and the Chief Executive, David Nicholson, have made it quite clear that the efficiency savings must be made over the next 3 to 5 years. So in sense of actually engaging the service, I think the NHS is pretty much engaged now and seized of both the opportunity and the challenge. If you ask, do I think we're making enough progress to date, then the answer would be no, we're not. And that's because obviously people are concerned to make sure that public confidence in the NHS is kept as it is at the moment at an all-time high. However, I think there is no excuse for poor planning, and what we see in KPMG at the moment are insufficiently prepared plans. I think over the 2009-10 year and the 2010-11 year, these are the years where these plans over 5 years need to be properly forecasted and then executed. Obviously, people like KPMG stand ready to help, and I think in certain instances we will be required, and we are obviously happy to help where that's necessary.
So thinking about the way in which people collaborate within the NHS, I think clinically we're very good at it. We know how to collaborate clinically across trusts and organisations. Commercially, less so. And from what you've described and the drive with the CSUs and necessity not nicety, how big a problem do you think it is for the NHS that commercially we seem to struggle with collaboration?
Well, instinctively, the NHS collaborates when thinking about clinical matters, and thank goodness for that. Sometimes managerially, when managers think about their commercial positions, they have to think about the commercial position of their employing organisation, which means a particular PCT or trust. The document necessity not nicety call for a greater commonality of purpose than just the organisation. And I know in some quarters it's been well received, in other quarters it's been rather more mixed. I honestly feel and felt when I was Director General that given the size of the economic challenge which we present in the first pages of the introduction to necessity not nicety, it is not possible for individual organisations to produce the efficiencies required over the next 5 years. So, in direct answer to your question, are the preconditions for success a given? The answer is no. Will it require bold and innovative leadership? The answer is yes. Are some parts of the country prepared to make those changes? Are they considering making those changes? The answer is yes. But of course in some areas the answer is no. I genuinely believe, looking at the work that we have done in KPMG and looking at the landscape for procurement across the NHS, as I did when I was Director General for the Commercial Directorate, we have not got a hope in hell of meeting the efficiency challenges over the next 5 years unless we work and think, act and behave in a different way.